wide range of organizations, the chocolate industry is accused of covering up the trafficking of children and the use of child labor on the cocoa plantations. We have decided.
The documentary Dark Side of Chocolate investigates rumors of child trafficking in the Ivory Coast, a major cocoa trade industry in West Africa. The industry has been accused of covering up child labor and trafficking on cocoa plantation, but authorities deny this. The investigation takes place in Mali, where children are smuggled across the border, making Mr. T and his team discover instances of human trafficking in the cocoa plantation. They travel to Abidjan, the capital of the cocoa estate, and interview children who were currently being held as slaves, fled in active traffickers. The documentary was shown to the International Labour Organization, which is fighting illegal child labour and trafficking. The documentary ended with Mr. T attempting to reach chocolate manufacturers like Nestle, Cargill and Mars, but all refused to accept the information presented. The film highlights the widespread exploitation of child labour and enslavement on cocoa farms in Cameroon, Guinea, Nigeria and Sierra Leone, with most cases documented in Ghana and the Ivory Coast. Research on the documentary Dark Side of Chocolate aims to increase awareness and understandings of the ethical issues surrounding the cocoa industry, specifically child labor and exploitation, and explore potential solutions to address this issue. Focusing on the documentary Dark Side of Chocolate is important for several reasons. First, child labor and exploitation. Second, consumer awareness. And third, corporate responsibility. The chocolate industry, while facing challenges in productivity, marketing, environmental concerns, and human rights abuses, is actively pursuing innovations to overcome these hurdles. Through the identification and implementation of solutions, the industry aims to enhance output, increase income, foster cooperation, and promote sustainability. Additionally, market trends are shaping the industry practices, while the nature of employment raises concerns regarding human rights abuses in cocoa producing regions. Innovation in the chocolate industry aims to improve productivity, income, and cooperation. Challenges include lack of experience, financial resources, soil quality decline, marketing differences, environmental concerns, and access to education. Addressing this issue requires addressing soil fertility, promoting agroforestry techniques, and enhancing education for long-term cocoa growing communities' survival. Besides, trends in market practices refer to market trends or the value of an item. The chocolate sector faces challenges due to high cocoa value, global demand, and technology advancement. Bean-to-bar chocolate are popular, but the industry must balance fine and aromatic beans, limited cocoa powder supplies, and fair trade. Major countries are establishing supply chain guidelines to ensure fair trade. The trend should increase in organic, naturally grown raw materials. Furthermore, advocacy and information sharing efforts are being made to create platforms for journalists and human rights activities to access and share information about human rights abuses within the chocolate industry. Raising awareness and advocating for change remain crucial to combating these challenges.
Lesson that we learned and got from the documentary The Dark Side of Chocolate, we must be aware of the issue of child labor and exploitation. The documentary highlights the extensive use of child labor in cocoa farms, particularly in West Africa, while children are often forced to work long hours in hazardous conditions without access to education or proper health care. Then, we should be responsible consumers. The Dark Side of Chocolate emphasizes the role of consumer in demanding ethically sourced chocolate. By raising awareness and making informed choices, consumers can put pressure on chocolate companies to adopt Then, we should be responsible consumers. The Dark Side of Chocolate emphasizes the role of consumer in demanding ethically sourced chocolate. By raising awareness and making informed choices, consumers can put pressure on chocolate companies to adopt ethical practice. Besides, we need to be a person who upholds justice to the right thing. Based on the documentary, because Miss Trotty has worked to defend justice for the kids who are victims of human trafficking, we ought to follow in his footsteps. Miss Trotty also tried to find out the truth by visiting his superior's office, but he received a disappointing reaction. To find out what was going on, he personally went to the area to investigate even if the situation is dangerous. The conclusion, according to the documentary The Dark Side of Chocolate, the final chocolate treat one consumes, or the final chocolate flavored cookie may contain chocolate made from beans scattered by a worn-out and broken 10-year-old boy from Mali or Burkina Faso. Chocolate is a significant cultural component regardless of how much individuals may appreciate it. It serves to express love to our loved ones, commemorate milestones, and add a little extra indulgence to daily life. Most people think of chocolate as a delectable, lovely pleasure, but they hardly ever think about the sinister reality that lies behind the store's attractively packaged bars. As they investigate some of the cocoa used to feed some of the largest global chocolate companies, Ms. Trotty and Romano unearthed the world of unfair work practice. Unfortunately, child slavery is widespread enough in that region of the world where child work is prevalent. The prevalence of child labor, human trafficking, and unfavorable working conditions in cocoa-growing countries, particularly in West Africa, are also made clear in this documentary.
I want to tell you about concept of management. Chapter 3. The environment of management. Ms. Rodri can relate to the environment of management. The numerous factors beyond the organization limits that might have an impact on it are all included in the external organizational environment. The organization external environment can be conceptualized further as having two components that are task and general environments. The chocolate industry is a task environment because it is close to the organization and comprises the sectors that regularly interact with it and have a direct impact on its performance and core function. Labor market that hired. The task environment includes the sectors that have a direct working relationship with the organization, among them customers, competitors, suppliers, and the labor market. Based on the documentary video, the chocolate industry can relate the labor market because they traffic underage children to work with them by force. Chapter 5. Managing Ethics and Social Responsibility. Type of ethical manager behavior are displaying honesty and integrity, communicating and enforcing ethical standards through behavior, being fair in decision and distribution of reward, and showing kindness, compassion, and concern for the needs and feeling of others. Every ethical manager acts with honesty and integrity, communicate and uphold moral principles via their conduct, is fair in their judgment and the way they distribute incentives, and demonstrate compassion and consideration for others. Naturally, manager and management research are both concerned about how ethics and social responsibility relate to an organization's financial success, and this has led to a vibrant discussion. The documentary increased awareness of child trafficking in Africa among the general population. As further research was gathered, a map was created. People who wish to abolish child slave labor in West Africa might do so with the aid of websites. The Global Cocoa Project (GCP) is a higher impact project that provides equipment and necessities to cocoa growers all over the world drastically. Chapter 2. The Evolution of Management Thinking. First, human resource perspective. Chocolate is something that we all eat and enjoy. Some people might take the dark chocolate as a daily part of their diet. And while there are many benefits of chocolate that are good for us, it is not always good for the people who do the work to get it to us. Second, Safety needs. There are 5 needs in the hierarchy of needs by Abraham Maslow, which are physiological need, safety need, biological needs, esteem need, and higher needs is self-actualization needs. The company does not meet the safety need where they allow the laboring child to use a match when doing the job, which is very dangerous for the child. Chapter 70. Managing Communication. Communication is the process by which information is exchanged and understood by two or more people, usually with the intent to influence or motivate behavior. The approach for transferring information and message inside or outside of the business are known as internal and external communication. First, communication is the manager's job. Manager at least spend 80% of every working day in direct communication with others. Secondly, a model of communication. Communication is seen by many as being easy and natural. Communication between people is completed and rife with potential for error. Encoding is the process of transforming information into communication.